Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 4. Before I start talking about what we're going to do this week, I just wanted to remind you guys that tonight is the last night that you can take the midterm exam. So the test will be closed at 11:30 at night. Do not miss it. I can see that many of you already took the test, or I have 2 students who are working on it right now. So do not miss it. There's no makeup for the midterm exam, so please take it before the deadline. And as I also told you, I believe last week or in one of my emails, do not wait till last minute. So if there is anything that is not working on your end, then I have enough time to fix it or contact the right person to fix it. So do not wait till last minute. This week, we're going to study 2 chapters, chapter 9 and chapter 12. Chapter 9 is about unemployment and inflation rate. So basically it has 2 parts, this chapter. So you will learn about unemployment rate, how we define it, how we calculate it. You will learn about different types of unemployment, which is very relevant to what's going on in our country nowadays. And then the second part of this chapter is about inflation rate, how we define it, how we calculate it. Again, all of us can relate to that with the ridiculous prices and the 9.1% inflation rate that is going on, not just, of course, in our country. Remember that the inflation rate is going up around the world, and one of the reasons for it is because of the pandemic. I know that people think that pandemic is over, but yes, in economics, just keep in mind that everything in economics basically show up with some sort of lag. So we started dealing with COVID crisis in 2020, but now we see the result of that pandemic in 2022, 2 years after pandemic, right? So it is not shocking, okay? We knew that it's coming. Another reason for this crisis right now is because of the war between Ukraine and Russia. So this is something global. It is not just for United States. Just keep in mind, every country around the world basically is hurting because of the shocks basically that happened after pandemic, okay? But hopefully the Federal Reserve will take care of it, which is something that we're going actually to discuss in chapter 12 and chapter 14. Especially in chapter 14, and just then also a little bit in chapter 16, which will be the last chapter, monetary policy, that we are going to study in this class. So you have a homework from chapter 9 as always. Another chapter that we're going to study this week is chapter 12. You will see similarity between chapter 12 and chapter 3. So in chapter 3, we talked about demand and supply in pure competition market. If you remember, we talked about equilibrium. We talked about changes in the changes at the equilibrium, where we were shifting the demand and supply, if you recall. If you do not recall, go back to chapter 3. So in chapter 12, we're again going to talk about demand and supply, but in a bigger scale. Remember, this is a macroeconomic class. So in this chapter, we're going to look at the total demand and total supply in the economy, as we call it, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So now in this chapter, we're going to talk about the demand for the entire economy and supply for the entire economy. We're going to put them together to define our macroeconomic equilibrium, okay? Or as we call it, full employment. So it is a little bit similar to chapter 3, but in a sense is also different, because in chapter 3 we were just focused on one market, but now we're talking about the entire economy, okay? We definitely need chapter 12 and some of the language that you learn in chapter 12 to understand chapter 13 and chapter 16, which are about fiscal policy and monetary policy, okay? Again, like usual, you will have a homework from chapter 12. If you go to D12 and click on week 4, you should be able to see all the videos that I posted for you. You can see a little few handouts that I put for you. I also recommend you guys to check out the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. I also put a kind of link for you guys there. This is the organization, as you will study in chapter 9, that is in charge of reporting, calculating, and collecting all the data regarding inflation rate, unemployment rate, and of course many other things, but these are two relevant economic indicator to what we're going to study this week. So it's a huge organization, and they report actually all this data every single month, which is a huge task. So anytime that you want to check out the inflation rate, unemployment rate, I would recommend you guys to go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because they have the latest data. Or you can Google it, but this is the most reliable website an organization that you can basically refer to. You can look at the historic data for any economic indicator that you like, and it's for free. You can download everything for free, especially if you're an econ major, you want to explore some data. So this is a great website for you to get some information about economic indicators, okay? You report, as I said, all these data every single month. What else for this week? I believe we also have our very last discussion, which will be due on August 8th. We have a total of 3 discussions. So basically we will be done with our discussions. So you can be more focused on just doing your assignments and getting ready for the final exam. I know we just finished midterm exam, but this is a 6-week class. It's pretty short, 10s. So as soon as you're done with midterm exam, just start thinking about the final, okay? Because the final is cumulative, so you definitely need to review the materials that you studied for the midterm exam. But of course, the focus will be on the new materials that we cover after the midterm exam. So don't forget about the last discussion. Remember, I opened the discussions at the beginning of the semester, so you could go ahead and post your answers at least for each discussion, but make sure that you go back to your discussions later on, because you will get 50 points for your answers that you post, and another 50 point when you respond to your and provide feedback for your friends in class. So that's another 50 points. So you can easily get 100. So you do have discussion tonight for discussion 2. You have a deadline tonight at 11:30. So that's the deadline for discussion number 2. But the discussion number 3, which is the last one, is due on Monday next week, August 8th. Okay. That's it as far as our class goes. Let me know if you have any question. Just as a reminder, you're not able to see your grades for the midterm exam right now. The grades for the midterm exam will be basically visible to you guys tomorrow after the deadline. Let me know if you have any question. I will post your grades, of course, on D2L. If there is any curve that I should take care of, I will do that later. But that's pretty much it. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.